When were you paid to take someone out? My best friend offered me $1,000 to take his mom on a date, and I can't tell him about the night we had. We'd been friends since 3rd grade, and I'd basically grown up at his house, but this was weird even for him. Marvin had moved to San Francisco after college and was making crazy money at some tech startup. He called me panicking because he couldn't get a flight back for his mom's 50th birthday. Mrs. Key had been like a second mom to me growing up. She'd driven us to soccer practice every week and always made extra dumplings when I came over. But taking her on an actual date felt like crossing some invisible line. Just take her to dinner and a movie, Marvin said over the phone. She's been really lonely since the divorce, and I don't want her spending her birthday alone. The money was too good to pass up. I was working at Best Buy and living with my parents, so $1,000 meant I could finally fix my car. I agreed to do it. When I showed up at Mrs. Aki's house that Friday night wearing my only nice shirt, she opened the door expecting Marvin. Her face fell when she saw me standing there with grocery store flowers. "Oh, it's you, Joseph," she said, trying to hide her disappointment. Marvin said he was sending someone, but I thought maybe. She trailed off, and I felt terrible. Here was this woman who'd made me countless after-school snacks, now standing in a black dress she'd probably spent hours picking out, realizing her son had pawned her off on his friend. "Happy birthday, Mrs. Key," I said, handing her the flowers. Marvin really wanted to be here, but he couldn't get away from work. He asked me to make sure you had a good night. She forced a smile and invited me in while she put the flowers in water. The house looked exactly the same as when we were kids, except all of Mr. Key's stuff was gone. Even his ugly recliner that used to dominate the living room had vanished. "You look really nice," I said, and I meant it. She'd always been pretty in that mom way, but tonight she looked different. Her hair was down instead of in its usual ponytail, and she was wearing makeup. "Thank you, Joseph. I suppose we should get going." The car ride started out painfully awkward. She sat pressed against the passenger door like she was trying to escape. I tried asking about her job at the hospital, but got one-word answers. By the time we got to the mall, I was sweating through my shirt. Shopping turned things around. I suggested we look for a birthday present from Marvin, and she perked up. We went into Nordstrom, and she started trying on scarves while I held her purse. After the 3rd scarf, she started laughing. "This is ridiculous," she said. "My son is paying you to babysit me." "He's not paying me to babysit you," I lied. "He just wanted to make sure you had fun tonight." She studied my face and must have decided to believe me because she relaxed. We spent an hour in the mall, with her trying on increasingly ridiculous hats while I took pictures. She bought a leather jacket that made her look 10 years younger, and wore it out of the store. At the movie theater, she picked Baby Girl, some intense erotic drama I'd never heard of. I bought popcorn, and we settled into the back row. 20 minutes into the movie, during a particularly steamy scene, I felt her hand on my thigh. Not in a motherly pat way, but resting there with intent. My whole body went rigid. This was Mrs. Key, the woman who taught me how to use chopsticks. I glanced at her in the flickering light. She was staring straight ahead, but I could see her chest rising and falling quickly. Her hand stayed on my thigh for the rest of the movie, occasionally squeezing during tense moments which made my third leg tense. My brain short-circuited. I spent the last hour of the movie hyper-aware of every place our bodies touched. Dinner was at this fancy Italian place Marvin had made reservations at. Mrs. Key ordered wine and insisted I try some, even though I was only 20. We talked about everything except the hand-on-thigh situation. She told me about the divorce, how Mr. Key had left her for his CrossFit instructor. I told her about my dead-end job and community college classes. The whole time, she kept touching my arm when she laughed and playing with her necklace. When I pulled into her driveway at 11, neither of us moved to get out. The porch light cast shadows across her face. She turned to me and suddenly we were kissing. Not a polite peck, but real kissing with her fingers in my hair and my hands on her waist. She tasted like wine and tiramisu. "Come inside," she whispered against my mouth. What happened next was the best night of my life. I'll spare the details, but Mrs. Key was nothing like the girls I'd been with. She knew exactly what she wanted and wasn't shy about taking it out of me. Mrs. Key was freaky, but I woke up around 3 in the morning to the sound of the front door opening. Mrs. Key was pressed against my back, her arm draped over me. Footsteps came up the stairs. The bedroom door creaked open. "Mom?" Full story link below.